All right, guys, episode 1, I guess. Not too sure what to call this yet. Just going to start doing weekly videos. Any questions you have, as I said, I've got quite a full inbox with questions and I'm trying to get back to everyone. The questions I'm going to address are effectively just the ones that have been posted, one from Terry and one from Mark. Basically Terry's asked, do you think the real estate agents have a conflict of interest by representing the seller and then negotiating a deal with the buyer when the seller's best interest, when the agent's best interest for the seller is to settle as soon as possible? By settle, I think you mean sell as soon as possible. Basically, as soon as you go to the market, you're effectively becoming stale. You really want to capitalize on the interest that's around, and typically your first 2 to 6 weeks is usually when your best outcome is going to be achieved. Anything more than that, you're stale. You really need to make adjustments as soon as you hit the market and you're not getting the interest you need. And it just comes back to how many internet hits you're getting, what's the feedback, what other, how's the marketing going, are you getting enough people looking at your property to either see value or not see value in what you're asking. Basically as well, with buyers, your first buy or your first offer is typically your best offer. 9 times out of 10, I've seen so many deals, so many properties come off the market because, you've been on the market a week, you get an offer, the seller goes, I just want to think about it, just want to wait, just see what else happens, want to play it out. All that sort of stuff comes into play. And then basically what happens is you get 2 months down the track, no real interest, getting trickles of inquiry, bits and pieces. Effectively, then you get an offer. Buyers, with the internet, buyers tend to know how long property's been on the market already, and they sort of know, where it's at in terms of other properties, and they've seen others, and there's probably 10 others on your street that are on for sale at the moment as well. So it's really important, that first buyer, take them really, really seriously, and even if it's a low offer, really, I've seen offers, where we're asking 420, get an offer at 380, seller says no, 2 months later we get an offer at 350, and it's just, you've just basically cost yourself 20, 30 grand. And the other thing as well is, the agent's best interest is always in the seller. You're the one, basically the seller's the one that's employed them. As long as they're being paid on a commission, the better outcome they achieve, the more they get paid. If you're paying a flat rate to an agent, typically means you've gone for a cheaper option, and it's not necessarily the best outcome. It's more about just getting a outcome, because in the end they're going to be paid the same, and there's no real motivation to really get a really good price, because whether it's 100 grand more or less than what you're asking, they're not too concerned. And obviously it's very important as an agent to sort of build a relationship with the buyers as well, to obviously, it helps a lot with the negotiation, and then obviously the process from sale to settlement as well. Do you think commissions should be linked to the final selling price and be heavily weighted to performance based on the agent's original market appraisal? Should be linked to the final selling price. It's really hard. Obviously, when they do that initial market appraisal, it's sort of like driving down a street looking in the rearview mirror. It makes it really difficult because you're looking at what's currently on the market, what's recently sold. You're sort of looking at past data. Once you're on the market and you're looking down the street out the windscreen, that's when you need to make adjustments to make sure you're on track to getting an outcome. And it's just about achieving the best outcome in today's market. If an agent's telling you something that you don't think is true or they can't justify, then it does, if you don't feel comfortable, then basically I'd say, that's probably not the agent for you. They really need to justify what they're asking. And as well, it makes it easier with negotiation when a buyer comes in and goes, why are you asking 600,000? Oh, this is why. There should be no ifs, ands or buts. This is why we're asking it. This is what's recently sold. This is where, your justification comes into play. And a lot of buyers, if you're asking way too much, imagine how hard it is to explain why, you want 650 and not 600. It makes it a lot harder for the agent as well when they overprice properties. But yeah, it's, as I said, it's really hard as an agent to sort of predict the future. It's really crystal ball stuff. Once you're on the market, clever agents or savvy agents need to make sure they make adjustments to make sure that the hook's in the water and you're going to get a bite. If you're sitting above the water, you're never going to get a fish. and you're never going to achieve an outcome. Next question, buyer's agents. What are your thoughts on buyer's agents? Buyer's agencies, I definitely have a passion for buyer's agents. For the whole concept of buyer's agents. I think it's a very worthwhile thing to do. Obviously, when you walk into a home and you are looking for a home for your family, it's quite an emotional experience. When you're emotional, you're sort of not thinking as logically as you would want to. Whereas if you have an agent who's representing you as a buyer, who's going to handle all the negotiations to get you the best price to buy it, you know, they're a lot more logical, they're, you know, business minded, they're not going to get emotional about the purchase. It's literally going to come down to them literally just getting the best price for you, the buyer. It's not going to come down to how excited you are to move in and the neighbourhood and have your kids run around and swimming in the pool and all that sort of stuff. So once upon a time it was generally for really rich individuals with not a lot of time, and you know, buyers agencies are becoming more and more popular. I think it was LJ Hooker or someone like that over East is actually setting up a company specifically for buyers agency, and that's all they do, and it's becoming more and more common, I believe, from what I've seen. I have probably last year I had probably 3 or 4, probably 2 deals that actually went through, and probably 2 others where there was a buyer's agent involved. And yeah, you know, the people that were doing it saw a lot of value in having someone come in and negotiate. Because if you're paying 10 grand for a buyer's agent to represent you, because obviously don't get a buyer's agent who's on commission, because you know that means they're not getting the best price because they want the price to be more, because then they get paid more. So typically speaking, buyer's agents are typically paid a flat rate. So if they cost you 10 grand and they save you 30 grand on the purchase price, or even 50 grand, they're more than paid for themselves. So it's definitely something I would you know, suggest to people. Not everyone can afford it, not everyone believes in it, and but I definitely think it's something it's a way of the future, I believe. Otherwise, that's it, guys. If you have any questions, please email me at logan@investorsedge.com.au. Facebook me, The Savvy Agent, Logan The Savvy Agent. Hashtag on Instagram, hashtag The Savvy Agent. And I'll put the Twitter in the comments. And yeah,